Imagine a garden where flowers bloom only when watered, cared for and protected. Love, too, is a garden. Feelings may be the sunlight that makes it vibrant, but sacrifice, the gentle, steady watering, is what helps it truly grow. Today, I want to take you on a journey to understand why love is more than just feelings, why it demands something deeper, and why those willing to give selflessly are the ones who experience the true magic of love. Many people believe that love is only about how it makes them feel. They think it's the rush of excitement, the thrill of being noticed, the happiness that floods the heart when someone smiles at them. When we talk about love, we often picture the fireworks, the butterflies, the moments that take our breath away. But feelings, as beautiful as they are not the foundation of true love. They are like the colors of a painting. They can dazzle and inspire, but without a canvas and frame, they cannot hold together. Feelings are powerful and real, but they are also fleeting. They come and go with circumstances. We feel euphoric when things are perfect, but when challenges arise, those same feelings can vanish almost overnight. If love were only about feeling, it would be fragile, easily broken by misunderstandings, difficulties, or even everyday life. True love does not crumble when feelings fade. It grows stronger when it is tested, when it requires patience, endurance, and a conscious choice to continue giving even when it is not convenient. Consider this. Two people may feel passionately for each other today, but tomorrow life can bring stress, responsibilities, and conflicts that shake their connection. The moment when the excitement dims is when the real depth of love reveals itself. Love is not the spark that burns briefly and then dies. It is the fire that continues to glow because someone is willing to keep feeding it, to keep nurturing it even when it is difficult. Many young hearts make the mistake of equating love with how intensely they feel. They believe that if they no longer feel a surge of emotion, it means love is gone. But love is not about chasing constant highs. It is about being present, being committed, and sometimes making hard choices for the other person. Feelings are gifts, but they are gifts that change with time. Sacrifice, on the other hand, is the anchor that keeps love steady, the silent force that transforms passion into devotion. Even the simplest relationships show this truth. When someone takes the time to listen without judgment, to support without complaint, or to forgive without resentment, they are acting out of love that is deeper than feeling. They are demonstrating that love is a decision, a practice, a continuous offering. In this way, love is not just what we experience for ourselves. It is what we are willing to give, what we are willing to endure, and what we are willing to put into another person's life to help it flourish. Two people can be drawn to each other quickly, swept up in excitement, charm, and the thrill of discovery. At first, it feels effortless, as if the universe has aligned just for them. This is infatuation, a powerful, intoxicating force that makes hearts race and minds dizzy. It is beautiful, yes, but it is fleeting. Infatuation is like the first spark of a fire, bright and warm, but often incapable of sustaining itself without careful tending. Many mistake this initial surge for love, believing that if the feeling is strong enough, it will last forever. But the truth is that infatuation is only the invitation. It is the door to something far deeper that demands more than excitement and attraction. True love, in contrast, is quiet, steady, and enduring. It is revealed not in moments of exhilaration, but in moments of choice. It is the decision to remain present even when life is ordinary, when challenges arise, and when feelings waver. Where infatuation depends on emotion, love depends on commitment. Where infatuation seeks self-satisfaction, love seeks mutual growth and understanding. The difference is subtle but profound. Infatuation asks, "How do I feel?" Love asks, "What does this person need, and how can I show up for them?" Infatuation can vanish with a disagreement or a disappointment. Love persists through arguments, misunderstandings, and hardships. It is willing to bend, adjust, and sometimes give up comfort or pride for the sake of the other person. Love is not about how life feels when it is easy. It is about how two hearts navigate life when it is difficult. That is why love cannot thrive on feelings alone. Feelings are like the wind, sometimes strong, sometimes absent. But love is like the roots of a tree, unseen yet holding everything together through storms. When people only chase feelings, they are often unprepared for the realities of a relationship. They expect every day to be thrilling, every conversation to be exciting, and every moment to feel like a dream. When reality arrives, as it always does, they may feel disillusioned or think love has disappeared. True love does not vanish in the face of reality. It grows stronger because it embraces both joy and struggle. It is a patient, enduring force that looks beyond the temporary highs of infatuation to the deeper, lasting connection that requires care, understanding, and yes, sacrifice. Even in the simplest acts, love becomes visible where feelings alone cannot sustain it. Choosing to stand by someone in times of difficulty, offering support when it is inconvenient, listening without judgment when it is easier to walk away. These are the moments that distinguish love from infatuation. True love is about presence and perseverance. It is the courage to keep showing up, not because it always feels wonderful, but because it is the right, compassionate, and committed thing to do. Love is often spoken of as something that comes naturally, effortlessly, like a river flowing without resistance. We imagine that if two hearts are meant to be together, everything will align and happiness will follow without effort. But the reality is far more profound. True love is not just a feeling that arrives and makes life easier. It is a choice, a commitment, and, above all, an act of giving. At the heart of love lies sacrifice, the willingness to put the happiness, growth, and well-being of another person sometimes above our own comfort, convenience, or desires. Sacrifice in love is not about losing yourself or surrendering your dreams. It is about recognizing that love is a partnership, a shared journey where two lives intersect and enrich one another. It is found in the quiet moments when you stay awake to comfort a restless partner, when you give time even though your own schedule is crowded, or when you listen deeply even though your mind is tired. These acts may seem small, almost invisible, but they carry immense power. They are the threads that weave the fabric of a lasting connection, transforming love from a fleeting emotion into something enduring. Many people misunderstand sacrifice, thinking it is always dramatic or painful. Yet, the truest sacrifices in love are often subtle and gentle. It is allowing someone to shine, supporting their ambitions even when they take time away from you, or giving space when you long to hold closer. It is making choices that prioritize the other person's needs without resentment, not because you are compelled, but because you genuinely care. When love is rooted in sacrifice, it becomes resilient. It withstands the pressures of life, the misunderstandings, and the moments of doubt, because both hearts are committed to nurturing it, not merely enjoying it when convenient. Sacrifice also teaches patience and humility. It softens the ego and invites understanding. In love, there will be times when giving up a personal comfort, postponing a desire, or swallowing pride is necessary. These moments are not signs of weakness, they are expressions of strength and devotion. They reveal a depth of character, a willingness to place someone else's well-being alongside or even above your own. True love is not measured by how intensely we feel, but by how consistently we act in ways that honor, respect, and uplift the other person. Consider how relationships endure. The ones that last are rarely those that relied solely on passion or attraction. They are the ones built through countless small sacrifices, cooking a meal when exhausted, listening without judgment, forgiving mistakes without bitterness, showing up even when it would be easier to leave. Sacrifice is the quiet engine that powers love. It transforms the initial spark into a steady flame, one that provides warmth, light, and security long after the excitement of first encounters has faded. When we embrace sacrifice in love, it opens a new dimension of joy. There is a profound satisfaction in seeing the other person flourish, in knowing that your efforts have contributed to their happiness. Sacrifice does not diminish love, it amplifies it. It turns love from a passive experience into an active, living commitment, a force that grows stronger with each conscious act of giving. Love is not always found in grand gestures or dramatic declarations. While movies and stories often celebrate sweeping romantic moments, the reality of true love is built in quiet, often unnoticed ways. It is in the small gestures, the subtle acts of kindness, and the consistent attention to another person's needs that love shows its deepest strength. These gestures may seem ordinary, almost mundane, but they carry extraordinary power when performed with intention and care. A smile offered at the right moment, a hand held in silence, a message sent just to check in. These are the tiny threads that, over time, weave a tapestry of trust, warmth, and connection. Small gestures require presence. They demand that we notice the little things about another person, the things that might otherwise go unnoticed. It could be remembering how they take their tea, acknowledging their accomplishments, or simply listening without offering solutions. Love grows in the awareness that someone else's world matters as much as our own. When we choose to act in these ways, we demonstrate that love is not only a feeling, but a practice. It is a daily choice to nurture, support, and honor another human being. There is also a transformative power in these small acts. A shared laugh in a moment of tension can diffuse frustration. A word of encouragement when someone feels low can ignite hope. These tiny gestures do not cost much, but they can mean everything. They are the signals that we are present, that we care, and that we are willing to put effort into another person's happiness. In the long run, these small, consistent efforts matter far more than rare grand gestures. Love expressed in small gestures builds resilience in a relationship. When challenges arise, the memory of these repeated acts of kindness and thoughtfulness becomes a reservoir of goodwill and patience. It reminds both people that they are valued and seen, even in ordinary moments. Sacrifice, too, is often hidden in these small actions, choosing to spend time, energy, or attention on another's needs even when it is inconvenient. It is not always dramatic, but it is always powerful, because it is born from intentional care rather than obligation. In the end, love is cumulative. The grand declarations may capture attention for a fleeting moment, but it is the countless small gestures, performed day after day, that define the quality and depth of a relationship. They show that love is not just something we feel, it is something we actively create and sustain. By valuing the small, consistent acts, love becomes a living, breathing presence that supports, uplifts, and endures. True love asks us to see beyond ourselves, to recognize that another person's happiness is as important as our own. It requires a willingness to step outside the boundaries of comfort and convenience, to place someone else's needs and well-being alongside, and sometimes even above, our own. This is not a call to lose ourselves or ignore our own growth, but rather an invitation to practice generosity of heart. To put someone else first is to understand that love is not a transaction. It is a shared journey in which the joys and burdens of life are carried together. Putting someone else first often begins with small, conscious choices. It could be adjusting plans to accommodate the needs of the other person, listening without interrupting, or giving up a personal preference to support a shared goal. These acts are rarely dramatic, but their cumulative effect is profound. They communicate respect, care, and commitment in ways that words alone cannot. When we prioritize another person's happiness, we create an environment in which love can thrive, rooted in trust, understanding, and mutual support. This practice of selflessness is tested most during challenges. When life becomes difficult, when stress, fatigue, or frustration enters, it is easy to retreat into one's own world. True love, however, requires showing up even when it is inconvenient. It is in the moments of sacrifice, staying patient during disagreements, offering support when tired, or providing comfort when we ourselves are burdened, that love reveals its deepest strength. By putting someone else first, we learn empathy, resilience, and the profound satisfaction that comes from contributing to another person's joy. Putting someone else first does not diminish our own identity or happiness. Rather, it transforms the relationship into a partnership where both individuals grow. The act of prioritizing another fosters a deeper connection, because it shows that love is not conditional, not dependent solely on what we receive. It is a conscious choice to nurture, protect, and elevate the other person. Over time, these acts of selflessness build a foundation that withstands misunderstandings, challenges, and the ordinary wear of life. In this way, love becomes a force that transcends selfish desire. It teaches patience, humility, and generosity. By placing someone else at the center of our attention, even for brief moments each day, we cultivate a bond that is not only emotional, but intentional. True love is measured not by how intensely we feel, but by the countless ways we choose to put the happiness and well-being of another person into action, again and again, without expectation, without hesitation, and with an open heart. Love is easy when everything is perfect. It is easy to smile, to feel excitement, and to believe in forever when life flows smoothly. But life rarely remains perfect for long. Challenges arrive in unexpected ways: stress, misunderstandings, distance, illness, or disappointments. And in those moments, feelings alone are not enough to sustain a connection. It is during these trials that love reveals its true depth, because it is tested not by ease, but by endurance. True love is not measured by the highs we experience together, but by the strength with which we weather the lows. When difficulties arise, feelings can falter, the thrill may fade, patience may wane, and frustration may creep in. This is natural. What distinguishes love from mere emotion is the choice to continue showing up, even when it is hard. Love asks us to remain present, to act with compassion, and to support one another even when circumstances make it inconvenient. It is a steady flame, not a fleeting spark, sustained by commitment rather than excitement. Each moment of perseverance through hardship strengthens the bond, making it more resilient to future challenges. Challenges also reveal the depth of understanding between two people. They invite empathy, compromise, and forgiveness. True love does not seek to dominate or control. It seeks to navigate difficulties together, to find solutions that honor both hearts, and to grow stronger through the process. Sacrifice becomes essential because enduring challenges often requires giving up immediate comfort, setting aside pride, and prioritizing the needs of the relationship over individual desires. These acts, though sometimes quiet and unseen, are the pillars on which lasting love stands. Moreover, the experience of overcoming obstacles together creates a shared history of strength and trust. Each moment of patience, support, or understanding becomes a reminder that love is more than feelings. It is a choice to stand together in all circumstances. The challenges faced, when met with commitment and care, transform relationships. They move them from fragile connections dependent on fleeting emotion to deep, enduring bonds rooted in mutual respect and unwavering dedication. Through adversity, love becomes an anchor rather than a sail. Feelings may fluctuate like the wind, but love grounded in perseverance holds firm. It teaches both people that true connection is not about seeking constant pleasure or avoiding discomfort. It is about remaining steadfast, nurturing the other, and choosing every day to continue the journey together. In this way, love grows not in spite of challenges, but because of them, proving that the heart's resilience is built not in moments of ease, but in the trials that test and shape it. Sometimes love asks us to do the hardest thing of all, to let go. Letting go is not about giving up on someone we care for, nor is it a sign of weakness or failure. It is an act of courage, a recognition that true love does not seek to possess or control, but to support and nurture, even when that means stepping back. There are moments in life when holding on tightly can cause more harm than good, when our desire to keep someone close conflicts with what is best for their growth, happiness, or freedom. It is in these moments that love is tested and revealed in its most selfless form. Letting go does not erase care or affection. It transforms it. It is the willingness to place the other person's well-being above our own need for comfort or security. This can mean allowing someone to pursue a path we cannot follow, to make choices that challenge us, or to experience life in ways that may temporarily separate us. True love is not confined by proximity or control. It is expansive, generous, and trusting. It trusts that love is not diminished by distance or independence, and that sometimes the greatest act of devotion is giving someone the space to grow. The courage to let go also teaches profound lessons about detachment and humility. It shows us that love is not about fulfillment of personal desire alone, but about creating conditions in which another person can flourish. In letting go, we acknowledge that our own happiness is intertwined with, but not solely dependent on, the presence or actions of the one we love. This requires inner strength, patience, and a quiet confidence in the enduring nature of love that transcends immediate satisfaction. Letting go often carries a sense of discomfort, fear, or even pain, because it challenges our instincts to hold tightly to what we cherish. Yet in the surrender lies freedom for both hearts. It allows love to exist in its purest form, free from demands, expectations, or possessiveness. It demonstrates that love is not about ownership, but about care, respect, and support. The act of releasing, when done from a place of compassion and wisdom, is itself a form of sacrifice, a choice to prioritize another's journey above our own longing. When love involves letting go, it also invites trust. Trust that the bond we share is strong enough to endure absence or change. Trust that acts of kindness and support are not diminished by distance. And trust that the essence of love lies not in clinging, but in giving freely. This willingness to release control, to put the other person's growth before our own comfort, is a defining characteristic of love that lasts. It is in these moments, when we choose to let go with grace and patience, that love reveals its depth, its resilience, and its power to transform not just relationships, but the hearts of those who practice it. Love grows when we step into another person's world and truly see it through their eyes. It is not enough to feel affection or desire. Understanding someone else's experiences, struggles, and joys requires empathy, a willingness to connect deeply with their inner life. Empathy allows us to respond to love not with selfish instinct or expectation, but with awareness and care. It opens the heart to the needs, fears, and dreams of the other person, creating a bridge between two lives that words alone cannot build. When empathy guides our actions, love becomes active rather than passive. It is expressed in ways that honor the other person's feelings, in listening when they need to speak, in supporting when they feel weak, and in celebrating when they thrive. These choices are not always convenient or easy. They may require patience, humility, or the setting aside of personal preferences. Yet it is in these very acts that love deepens, because it demonstrates a willingness to understand and prioritize the inner world of someone else over the comfort of our own assumptions or desires. Empathy also teaches sacrifice in a natural, flowing way. By truly understanding what another person needs, we find ourselves giving, not out of obligation, but from a genuine desire to ease their burdens and enhance their happiness. It is a form of love that transcends fleeting feelings, transforming connection into a living practice of care. When we act with empathy, we are investing in the other person's well-being, often in ways that go unnoticed or unacknowledged, but which create the foundation for enduring trust and intimacy. This deep awareness can transform ordinary moments into powerful expressions of love. A thoughtful word, a quiet gesture, or a patient presence can carry more weight than the grandest displays of passion. Through empathy, we learn to anticipate the needs of another, to offer comfort before it is asked, and to share in both joy and sorrow fully. Love guided by empathy does not cling or demand. It listens, adjusts, and nurtures with respect and understanding. In practicing empathy, we also grow individually. We learn humility as we recognize that our perspective is limited and that someone else's feelings are equally valid. We cultivate patience as we navigate differences in opinion, temperament, and experience. We discover a depth of compassion that enriches not only the relationship but our own hearts. Through empathy, love transforms from a simple feeling into a living, breathing commitment, one that is strengthened by sacrifice, guided by understanding, and capable of enduring all the challenges life may bring. Love is not hurried. It does not thrive in moments of impatience or in the desire for immediate results. True love grows slowly, deliberately, and sometimes silently, like a seed buried in the soil, unseen for days, weeks, or even months before it finally breaks through and reaches the light. Patience is one of the quietest, yet most powerful forms of sacrifice in love. It asks us to wait, to endure uncertainty, and to allow another person the space to grow, change, and reveal themselves fully, without rushing or pressuring them to meet our expectations. Patience in love is tested every day. It appears when we remain calm during disagreements, when we listen without interrupting, and when we allow someone to take their time in sharing their thoughts, feelings, or dreams. It is present when we resist the urge to demand immediate attention or reaction, when we accept delays and imperfections as part of the journey rather than obstacles to our comfort. Every moment of waiting, every pause in judgment, is an act of love that requires restraint and selflessness. Through this restraint, we honor the other person's pace, their process, and their individuality, demonstrating that love is not about control but about respect. Patience also nurtures trust and stability. When someone experiences love that is steady and unwavering, even in moments of difficulty or indecision, They are able to open their heart more fully. They feel safe to be themselves, to explore, and to grow without fear of rejection or pressure. In these moments, love is no longer just a feeling. It becomes a secure space where both people can flourish. Sacrifice and patience intersect here because the act of waiting, of holding back impulses, of prioritizing understanding over immediate gratification, strengthens the bond in ways that passion alone cannot achieve. Furthermore, patience allows love to mature and deepen naturally. It teaches us that every person has their own rhythm and every relationship has its own timeline. It asks us to value the journey rather than rush toward a destination. In the quiet endurance of patience, love transforms from a fragile spark into a flame that endures storms, trials, and the ordinary challenges of life. By practicing patience, we honor not only the other person, but the relationship itself, allowing it to grow organically and deeply, sustained by a commitment that is deliberate, thoughtful, and sacrificial in its very essence. Through patience, we learn that love is not measured by intensity or speed, but by consistency and presence. Each moment of restraint, every act of understanding, becomes a silent declaration of devotion. In this way, love is not fleeting or superficial. It becomes enduring, resilient, and profound, shaped by the quiet sacrifices we make every day in choosing to remain, to wait, and to nurture. Love is tested not only by time and circumstance, but also by our capacity to forgive. No human being is perfect, and no relationship is without mistakes, misunderstandings, or moments of hurt. It is in these moments that forgiveness becomes an essential expression of true love. Forgiveness is more than letting go of anger or resentment. It is a conscious choice to release the weight of past mistakes and to move forward with compassion, understanding, and commitment. It is a sacrifice of pride, ego, and sometimes even certainty, but it is also the key that allows love to endure and grow. Forgiveness in love requires humility. It asks us to recognize that everyone, including ourselves, is fallible. When someone we care for disappoints or hurts us, the instinct may be to withdraw, retaliate, or hold onto the grievance. True love asks us to pause, to reflect, and to respond with empathy rather than judgment. It asks us to remember the intentions, the goodness, and the efforts of the person we love, even when their actions fall short of our expectations. This does not mean ignoring wrongdoing or accepting harm without boundaries, but it does mean choosing to prioritize the relationship over the fleeting satisfaction of anger or resentment. Forgiveness is also an act of courage. It is not always easy to release the hurt we feel. It may require inner work, patience, and a willingness to confront our own vulnerabilities. Yet through this act, love is renewed. Old wounds lose their power, and both hearts are freed to continue growing together. Forgiveness transforms pain into a source of strength, teaching both individuals that mistakes do not define the relationship, but rather how they are met and healed defines its depth and resilience. In practice, forgiveness often appears in the smallest, most consistent ways. A gentle word after an argument, a choice to listen instead of react, a quiet act of patience when frustration rises. It requires giving up the desire to be right and choosing to maintain connection instead. These acts of letting go, of prioritizing understanding and compassion over resentment, are sacrifices that strengthen the foundation of love. They remind us that love is not just a feeling or a reaction to good moments. It is an enduring commitment to see, support, and uplift the other person, even when it requires overcoming our own pride and discomfort. Ultimately, forgiveness allows love to breathe. It clears space for trust, intimacy, and growth, making it possible for the bond to deepen rather than fracture. Love that practices forgiveness becomes resilient, unshakable, and expansive. It transforms mistakes into opportunities for connection, challenges into lessons in patience, and hurt into reminders of the strength and selflessness required to nurture a relationship that lasts. Through forgiveness, love proves that it is not fragile, fleeting, or conditional. It is alive, enduring, and capable of weathering all storms, sustained by the quiet, courageous sacrifices of the heart. Love that is true is never measured by what we receive in return. It asks us to give freely, without keeping score, without calculating the value of our gestures, and without expecting recognition or gratitude. Many people enter relationships with the hidden hope that their efforts will be reciprocated exactly as they imagine, forgetting that love is not a transaction. True love transcends expectation. It is a continuous offering of care, attention, and support, not because it guarantees something in return, but because giving itself is an expression of devotion. When love is unconditional, the very act of giving becomes its own reward. It manifests in countless small ways: a kind word, an unasked for favor, the patience to listen when the other person needs to speak, the willingness to adjust plans to bring comfort or joy. These acts often go unnoticed, yet they carry immense significance. Each moment of giving, when done without expectation, deepens trust and strengthens the connection. It teaches both hearts that love is not fragile, but enduring, not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in choice and commitment. Sacrifice is central to this kind of love, because giving without expectation often requires letting go of pride, convenience, or even personal desires. It asks us to prioritize the well-being of another over our own immediate comfort, to offer time, energy, and attention without counting the cost. This willingness to act selflessly nurtures a relationship far more than grand declarations or fleeting gestures ever could. It transforms love into a living force, one that grows stronger and more resilient with every selfless act. Love without expectation also fosters freedom and authenticity. When neither person demands constant reciprocity or perfect behavior from the other, both are free to be themselves. They can reveal vulnerabilities, explore their dreams, and grow without fear of judgment or withdrawal of affection. In this space, love becomes not a bond of dependence, but a partnership of mutual respect and care. Sacrifice, when offered without expectation, ensures that this partnership thrives even in moments of challenge, misunderstanding, or imperfection. Ultimately, love is proven not by the feelings it generates in the moment, but by the consistency and generosity with which it is expressed over time. Giving without expectation is a quiet yet profound act of devotion, one that requires courage, patience, and humility. It is in this selfless offering that love reveals its true power, a force that cannot be measured by emotion alone, but by the depth of commitment, the willingness to sacrifice, and the enduring choice to nurture another's happiness above all else. Words alone can never fully capture the depth of love. They can be beautiful, poetic, and moving, but they are fleeting if not backed by consistent action. True love is revealed in what we do, in the choices we make, and in the effort we invest in the other person's well-being. A loving word without action is like a seed dropped on barren soil. It may seem promising, but it cannot grow. Love is a living, breathing presence that demands expression through deeds, small or large, visible or silent. Everyday actions carry the weight of love more profoundly than declarations ever could. It is shown when we remain patient during moments of frustration, when we offer support without being asked, or when we put aside personal comfort to ease another's burden. These acts, though often unnoticed by the world, are the true markers of love. They demonstrate a willingness to be present, to endure effort, and to prioritize another's happiness, even when it requires sacrifice or discomfort. Through these consistent actions, love becomes real, tangible, and enduring. Love in action also teaches resilience. Feelings can be inconsistent, changing with circumstances, moods, or external pressures. But when love is expressed through deliberate choices, it becomes steady and reliable. Choosing to act lovingly even when emotions are low, or when challenges arise, is what transforms temporary passion into lasting devotion. These actions build trust, strengthen bonds, and create a foundation that can withstand the inevitable trials of life. Sacrifice is inseparable from love expressed in action. Every act of patience, care, or understanding requires a moment of letting go, of ego, pride, or convenience. It is often quiet and unseen, yet it carries extraordinary significance. Through these actions, love becomes more than an internal feeling. It becomes a force that touches reality, shapes the other person's life, and affirms a commitment that endures beyond fleeting emotion. Ultimately, love is proven in the daily choices we make. It is in showing up, giving, supporting, forgiving, and nurturing, not because we must, but because we choose to. These acts create a rhythm of devotion that turns ordinary life into a living testament of care. Love expressed in action is not fragile. It is steadfast, tangible, and transformative. It reminds us that the heart's truest measure is not how it feels in a moment, but how it acts over a lifetime, sustained by quiet, deliberate sacrifice and unwavering presence. There is a profound joy in giving without expectation, a joy that deepens love in ways that feelings alone never can. When we offer ourselves, our time, our attention, and our care for someone else's happiness, we experience a quiet fulfillment that cannot be measured by momentary pleasure. Sacrifice, when offered willingly, transforms from a burden into a source of inner satisfaction. It is in these acts of generosity that love finds its true strength and its most enduring meaning. The joy of giving emerges from the awareness that our actions have the power to uplift another person. Preparing a meal when tired, offering encouragement when the other is discouraged, lending a hand when the world feels heavy. These small gestures may seem ordinary, but they carry the weight of devotion. Each act is a choice to invest in someone else's life, and in that choice lies a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. When love becomes action, giving becomes its own reward. The act itself carries joy, not because it earns recognition, but because it connects us to the well-being and growth of another heart. Giving selflessly also allows love to expand beyond mere feeling into a living, breathing reality. It teaches humility, patience, and empathy. We learn to prioritize another's happiness without expectation, to listen and understand without judgment, and to invest ourselves even when it requires effort. In doing so, love becomes more than passion. It becomes a conscious, ongoing commitment. Each act of giving strengthens trust, deepens intimacy, and nurtures a bond that is resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Sacrifice in love is not always grand or dramatic. Often, it is quiet, subtle, and repeated daily. It is choosing to stay calm when provoked, choosing to forgive when hurt, choosing to support when exhausted. Each moment of giving, when offered without expectation, reinforces the foundation of a relationship and makes it capable of weathering storms. Over time, these repeated acts create a rhythm of devotion, a pattern of care that sustains love long after initial feelings of passion have faded. The joy of giving also transforms the giver. It expands the heart, cultivates gratitude, and fosters a deeper understanding of connection. We discover that love is not about what we receive, but about the difference we make in another person's life. This awareness brings a quiet, enduring happiness that cannot be shaken by circumstance or time. In the selfless act of giving, love becomes both a sanctuary and a source of strength, proving that the heart grows not only by feeling, but by the choices we make to care, sacrifice, and nurture another soul. Love often asks us to bend, to adjust, and to meet someone else halfway. It is not a rigid force that demands only what we want or expects the world to conform to our desires. True love is flexible, willing to compromise without losing its essence, recognizing that a relationship is not about winning or dominating, but about creating harmony and shared growth. Compromise is not a sign of weakness. It is an expression of respect, care, and understanding. It is a silent sacrifice that allows two hearts to move together despite differences, nurturing connection rather than conflict. Compromise appears in countless small ways every day. It might be adjusting plans to accommodate another person's needs, listening patiently to a perspective that differs from our own, or choosing to soften our stance in an argument to preserve peace and understanding. These moments are not always easy. They require humility and patience, the willingness to set aside ego and insistence. Yet in each choice to yield without resentment, love is strengthened because it demonstrates that the relationship itself is valued above temporary satisfaction or pride. Through compromise, love teaches empathy and perspective. We begin to see the world through the eyes of the person we care for, understanding their desires, fears, and limits. We learn that a successful relationship is rarely about rigid agreement, but about finding balance, meeting in the middle, and adjusting so that both can thrive. Sacrifice is woven into these choices because giving up even small personal comforts or preferences for the sake of harmony and connection is an act of devotion that deepens intimacy. Compromise also fosters growth and resilience. When two people navigate differences with patience and understanding, they develop trust and respect that cannot be shaken by minor disagreements. They discover that love is not about perfection, but about willingness, the willingness to adapt, to listen, and to support. Each act of yielding, each moment of mutual adjustment, becomes a quiet reinforcement of commitment, a proof that love is alive not in convenience, but in effort, understanding, and selflessness. Ultimately, compromise transforms love into a living partnership. It shows that love is not merely an emotion or fleeting passion, but a deliberate, continuous practice of balancing needs, honoring individuality, and creating space for mutual happiness. Through these daily acts of adjustment and sacrifice, love becomes resilient, harmonious, and enduring, capable of thriving in both ordinary moments and the inevitable challenges that life brings. Love is at its deepest when it is experienced as service rather than possession. It is not about claiming someone for ourselves or seeking to control their choices, but about nurturing, supporting, and uplifting them. True love is generous and selfless, focused on the well-being and growth of the other person. It asks us to act not for recognition, reward, or personal gain, but simply because the happiness and fulfillment of the one we love matters to us more than our own convenience or comfort. In this way, love becomes a living practice of care, patience, and devotion. To love as service is to prioritize the needs and dreams of another without losing sight of our own, creating a balance where giving and receiving coexist naturally. It is seen in small daily acts, a thoughtful gesture when it is unexpected, offering encouragement in moments of doubt, or being present in silence when words are insufficient. Each act of service, though simple, carries profound meaning because it demonstrates a commitment that transcends feelings and arises from choice. Love expressed this way is steady, dependable, and transformative. Service in love also requires sacrifice. It asks us to set aside pride, comfort, or convenience, choosing instead to act in ways that benefit the other person. Sometimes this means putting their needs before our own, listening when we are tired, giving when we feel depleted, or supporting when recognition is unlikely. Each act, no matter how small, builds a foundation of trust and intimacy, creating a connection that is resilient and enduring. True love grows stronger in these moments of quiet devotion because it is rooted not in fleeting emotion, but in conscious, sustained effort. When love becomes service, it nurtures freedom rather than dependence. The person who is loved feels seen, supported, and empowered to grow, while the one who gives learns patience, humility, and empathy. This mutual growth strengthens the bond and transforms the relationship from a simple connection into a partnership of shared purpose and care. Sacrifice and service are intertwined in this process because the act of giving without expectation requires letting go of ego, pride, and the desire for control. Ultimately, love as service becomes a force that uplifts both hearts. It is an enduring presence, capable of weathering challenges, disappointments, and the ordinary difficulties of life. Through service, love demonstrates its deepest truth, that it is not a fleeting feeling or a fragile connection, but a conscious, selfless commitment to nurture, protect, and elevate the other person. In this commitment, love flourishes, growing richer, deeper, and more resilient with every act of care and sacrifice. Sacrifice in love often requires letting go of selfishness, and this is rarely easy. The heart instinctively clings to comfort, pride, and the desire for life to revolve around its own needs. Yet true love asks us to step beyond this instinct, to recognize that our personal convenience or ego should never overshadow the happiness and growth of the person we care for. This act of surrender is not a loss, but a transformation. It softens the rigid edges of the self, teaching patience, humility, and a deeper understanding of connection. Love that asks for sacrifice is not about deprivation. It is about choosing another's well-being over momentary satisfaction. The pain of letting go of selfish desires is often the crucible in which love is forged. It may be giving up time, comfort, or personal preference to support another's dreams or needs. It may be swallowing pride in order to listen rather than argue, to forgive rather than retaliate, or to yield when compromise serves the greater good of the relationship. These choices are rarely easy. They require courage and self-awareness, the ability to look beyond immediate gratification and act from a place of devotion. Yet it is precisely in this tension between desire and selflessness that love finds its enduring strength. Sacrifice shapes character as much as it shapes relationships. When we learn to let go of selfishness, we cultivate empathy, understanding, and the ability to prioritize another's happiness without expectation. We begin to see that love is not about convenience or comfort, but about presence, effort, and intentional care. Each act of letting go, no matter how small, becomes a thread in the fabric of a lasting connection, weaving trust, patience, and resilience into the relationship. Even ordinary moments carry opportunities for this kind of sacrifice. Staying patient during disagreements, supporting a partner's dreams even when they demand effort or compromise, or offering forgiveness in the face of hurt. Each of these requires putting the other person's well-being above our own immediate desires. Over time, these repeated acts of selflessness transform the relationship. They cultivate a sense of safety, trust, and intimacy that cannot be built by feelings alone. Ultimately, the willingness to release selfishness allows love to flourish in its truest form. It teaches that enduring connection is not measured by what we take, but by what we give, and that the depth of love is revealed not in ease or convenience, but in the quiet, often unseen sacrifices we make every day. Through this letting go, love becomes stronger, richer, and capable of weathering life's inevitable storms, proving that the heart grows most when it gives freely, patiently, and selflessly. Love shows its true strength in the way it endures challenges. Life is unpredictable, and relationships inevitably face moments of difficulty, stress, disagreement, loss, or unexpected obstacles that test the bond between two hearts. It is easy to love when everything is smooth, when happiness flows naturally, and when circumstances are favorable. But true love is revealed in how two people navigate the storms together, supporting one another, leaning on each other, and choosing to remain connected even when it would be easier to walk away. Enduring challenges together requires presence, patience, and sacrifice. It asks us to listen when frustration rises, to remain calm when emotions flare, and to act with compassion even when hurt or disappointment clouds our judgment. In these moments, feelings alone are insufficient. It is deliberate choice, effort, and commitment that sustain the relationship. Love becomes not just an experience of joy, but a practice of care, understanding, and resilience. Each trial faced together strengthens the bond, creating a foundation that can withstand future difficulties. Challenges also reveal the depth of empathy and understanding within a relationship. They invite both individuals to step outside their own perspective and consider the needs, fears, and desires of the other. It is in compromise, forgiveness, and acts of support that love grows beyond passion or attraction, transforming into a partnership rooted in trust and devotion. Sacrifice becomes essential because navigating obstacles often requires giving up convenience, comfort, or pride to protect the relationship and honor the other person's needs. The experience of facing adversity together builds intimacy and trust that cannot be replicated in easy moments. Couples who weather life's hardships discover the strength of their connection, the reliability of each other's care, and the enduring nature of love that is not contingent on circumstances. They learn that love is not fragile, but capable of bending without breaking, adapting without losing essence, and growing even in the face of difficulty. In this way, enduring challenges is not a sign that love is weak, but proof that it is alive and resilient. The storms test, but also refine, revealing the depth of commitment, the strength of character, and the power of selfless care. Love becomes a shared journey of facing life together, building courage, patience, and understanding with every hardship. Through this steadfastness, love matures, proving that its true measure lies not in fleeting emotions, but in the willingness to stand together, support one another, and persist through the inevitable trials that life brings. Every act of love, especially those that require selflessness, strengthens the foundation of a relationship. True love is not fragile. It grows stronger each time one person chooses the other over convenience, pride, or ease. Commitment is reinforced in the moments when sacrifice is required, when we put effort into understanding, supporting, and nurturing the other person, even when it demands patience, energy, or courage. These conscious choices are the building blocks of lasting intimacy, trust, and connection, creating a bond that is resilient to the pressures of life. Sacrifice and consistent care serve as proof of devotion in ways feelings alone never can. When someone makes an effort to show up, to forgive, to listen, or to support repeatedly, it reassures the other person that love is not fleeting or conditional. Each act of selflessness becomes a silent message: I am here. I choose you even when it is difficult. Over time, these moments accumulate, forming a strong, unshakable foundation that carries the relationship through challenges and ordinary days alike. The strength that comes from sacrifice also nurtures trust. When both individuals experience repeated acts of consideration and care, they learn to rely on each other without doubt or fear. They understand that love is more than passion or emotion. It is a practice, a conscious commitment to act in the best interest of the other person consistently. Sacrifice demonstrates reliability and devotion in tangible ways, showing that love is not just an idea or a feeling, but an enduring, living reality that can be counted on. Moreover, love that is strengthened by sacrifice grows deeper over time. Challenges, misunderstandings, and differences, instead of weakening the bond, become opportunities to practice empathy, patience, and generosity. Every instance of putting the relationship or the other person first reinforces the connection, creating layers of intimacy, mutual respect, and shared understanding. This is why relationships that endure through effort and selflessness are often richer, more resilient, and more fulfilling than those sustained by feelings alone. Ultimately, love grows not because it is easy, but because it is nourished by the choices we make to give, to forgive, and to remain committed. Each act of selflessness strengthens the bond, deepens trust, and builds a foundation capable of withstanding life's inevitable difficulties. Sacrifice transforms love from a fleeting experience into a steadfast, enduring force, proving that its true strength is measured not in moments of passion, but in the consistent, conscious decisions to nurture, support, and prioritize one another over time. Feelings are fleeting. They rise and fall like waves, carrying with them moments of joy, excitement, or passion, but they cannot be relied upon to endure life's challenges or the passing of time. True love, however, is far more enduring than emotion. It is built on choices, commitment, and sacrifice that persist long after the intensity of initial feelings has faded. Love that depends only on how it feels is fragile, shifting with circumstance and vulnerability, but love rooted in intentional action, understanding, and selflessness is steadfast, capable of weathering the storms that life inevitably brings. When feelings diminish, love built on sacrifice and devotion remains. It is expressed in the willingness to stay present, to act with care, to support without expectation, and to forgive without resentment. These deliberate acts reinforce the bond between two people, demonstrating that love is not just a reaction to pleasure or excitement, but a conscious choice to nurture, protect, and prioritize another person's well-being. In this way, love transcends the temporary highs and lows of emotion, becoming a foundation for enduring connection and trust. Sacrifice gives love its longevity. By choosing to act selflessly, to consider the other person's happiness above convenience or pride, and to remain committed even when it is difficult, we transform passion into devotion. Each act of care, patience, and understanding adds strength to the relationship, creating a bond that is resilient, reliable, and sustaining. Love becomes a living presence, present in everyday actions, small gestures, and continuous support, rather than a fleeting spark dependent on circumstance or feeling. This kind of love teaches patience, resilience, and perspective. It allows both individuals to grow together, facing challenges with unity and empathy rather than fear or frustration. When love is rooted in sacrifice and choice, it becomes a steady force, capable of carrying both hearts through hardships, misunderstandings, and the inevitable changes of life. Feelings may come and go, but love built on intention and selflessness endures, proving that the true measure of connection is not in what we feel in a moment, but in what we choose to give consistently over a lifetime. Ultimately, love that outlasts feelings is a testament to commitment, devotion, and sacrifice. It does not rely on excitement or passion to survive. It thrives on acts of care, understanding, and selflessness that strengthen the bond day by day. In this way, love becomes eternal, a force that grows deeper and more resilient over time, proving that the heart's truest fulfillment comes not from what it experiences, but from what it is willing to give and sustain for the one it cherishes. Love is like a garden. It begins with something fragile, tender, and full of potential, but it cannot thrive on sunlight alone. Feelings may bring warmth and brightness, excitement and joy, but without care, attention, and nurture, they cannot sustain growth. Love requires effort, patience, and sacrifice. The steady watering, the tending, the willingness to remove weeds and protect it from storms. It is the deliberate acts of care and devotion that transform a fragile shoot into a flourishing garden, vibrant with life, resilience, and beauty. A garden grows slowly, and so does true love. It asks us to invest ourselves consistently, to show up even when it is inconvenient, to offer kindness even when we are tired, and to forgive when mistakes occur. Each act of care, each gesture of understanding, each moment of patience adds nourishment to the relationship, allowing it to develop deep roots that anchor it against the winds of life. Sacrifice in this context is not loss. It is the essential labor that allows love to thrive, the willingness to put effort, attention, and empathy into sustaining the bond every day. Love, like a garden, also requires protection. Life's storms, disagreements, disappointments, hardships can threaten its growth. Without deliberate care, love can wither under the weight of neglect, resentment, or selfishness. But when nurtured through understanding, compromise, and acts of selflessness, it becomes resilient. The roots deepen, the branches expand, and the garden grows strong enough to weather challenges, remaining alive, beautiful, and sustaining for both hearts. True love thrives in the balance of attention and space, effort and patience, giving and receiving. It flourishes not because it is easy, but because both hearts are willing to cultivate it deliberately, to invest themselves fully, and to make sacrifices when necessary. It is in the steady, quiet work of love that its true beauty is revealed, the small, consistent acts that nurture connection, sustain trust, and allow two people to grow together over time. When a garden blooms, it is a testament to care, effort, and dedication. So too with love, it blossoms when feelings are supported by sacrifice, attention, and patience. It becomes more than a fleeting emotion. It becomes a living presence, a source of comfort, strength, and joy. Love that is tended well will endure, transform, and flourish, proving that the heart's most enduring fulfillment comes not from what it receives, but from the devotion and care it invests in nurturing another soul. Love is not just a feeling that comes and goes with the seasons of life. It is a choice, a commitment, and a garden that requires constant care. It asks us to give without keeping score, to forgive when it hurts, to compromise when it challenges us, and to nurture even when it is difficult. True love is measured not by the intensity of our emotions, but by the depth of our actions, the sacrifices we make, the patience we practice, and the care we invest day after day. When we embrace love in this way, it becomes more than passion or attraction. It becomes a force that transforms lives. It builds trust where doubt once lived. It creates warmth where indifference could take root. And it grows a connection that endures beyond time, challenges, and circumstance. Love, tended with devotion and selflessness, becomes eternal, a living testament to the power of sacrifice, understanding, and unwavering presence. May we all learn to love in this way, not only with our hearts, but with our actions, our choices, and our willingness to give. In doing so, we do not just experience love, we become the gardeners of a bond that can flourish, inspire, and endure, leaving a lasting legacy in the hearts of those we cherish most.